We knew it was going to be bad, but nothing could prepare anyone for this. Catastrophic floodwaters are slowly starting to ease in parts of Lismore, and residents are now confronting a grim new reality. Apart from the awful mess they're facing, they're fast running out of food and petrol, with supply lines cut off.
What started as a flood crisis is fast becoming a food crisis.
Yeah, things are really dire at the moment.
These are the scenes at supermarkets today across Lismore as the floodwaters recede and the devastation emerges. A city of 45,000 people used to have 7 major supermarkets. 4 were inundated, and the shelves at the remaining 3 have been stripped bare. The town is cut off by road, meaning resupplies of food and petrol can't get in. Lismore Mayor Steve Krieg lost his own business and home to the record flood, but is heartbroken about those who didn't survive.
We've got search and rescue teams going into every single affected house. Not only do they have to search every room, but they also have to, unfortunately, search roof cavities.
The death toll is still climbing, but even the survivors are living a nightmare.
As much as people really want to get back and start the clean-up process, we're fast running out of water. We don't have any sewerage facilities at the moment.
The amount of disaster here is only going to get worse, and I think people need to realise that.
Luke Crane filmed the situation at his local Spar supermarket in East Lismore, which today began throwing out nearly every grocery item from its shelves. Manager Joe Sparks.
So how devastating is it, Joe?
Oh, it's very devastating.
Yeah.
The whole shop's got to be gutted, and unfortunately we can't give anything away because it's all been compromised.
The small amount of tin food they can salvage is being donated to evacuation centres.
Everything else, unfortunately, we can't sell, we can't use, and we can't eat. All the tin food's being donated, all the...
How's it made you feel seeing the entire contents of your local supermarket just dumped out there, soaked in the car park?
It's tragic just to see all that food. Like, that's enough to feed, probably a couple of thousand people for a couple of days. And it's just everything. There's nothing that they can save.
As the day wore on, some residents were so desperate they decided to take their chances on these spoiled supplies.
We'd drink bottled water if we could get it. We can't get any.
Luke says his local petrol station has told him it could take 8 weeks to get back online. Flooded supermarkets will likely take just as long. Resupplying anything today was impossible with roads cut off in every direction. Fresh produce usually comes from Brisbane's Rockley markets, which currently look like this after bearing the brunt of the same storm.
I think a lot of people are in shock at the moment, and I think as that shock wears off, I think a lot of people will start to go, hang on a minute, I'm hungry. I can't get food, I can't get water, I can't get fuel, I can't buy nappies for my baby.
There is no more flour in any of the supermarkets, so those with bakeries cannot bake bread.
Captain Philip Sutcliffe is from the Salvation Army, which has already served over 6,000 meals to those who lost their homes. Even evacuation centres are running low on food.
We do not have any fresh produce. At the moment, I've secured enough supplies to get us through lunch and possibly dinner tomorrow. But after that, we just don't know what's going to happen with food and how we're going to continue to cater for people in the evac centre.
Anyone who can lend a hand in the wider region is chipping in. Surfer Mick Fanning spent another day on his jet ski delivering supplies to stricken communities along the Tweed River.
And then today's just all about trying to get food and water and supplies.
Lismore Mayor Steve Krieg says there's a plan to get critical food supplies trucked from Sydney to Casino, where it can then be airlifted. But that has a catch too.
All of this support, unfortunately, we're fast running out of aviation fuel. So, can't sort of take a trick at the moment.
Surviving the coming days is the first challenge. Rebuilding infrastructure could take years. Lismore City Council has opened its own fundraising account to ensure any donations are directed to those who need it most.
At the end of the day, what we're really going to need is financial support. We'll be leaning very heavily on the federal and state governments for all the support that they can get us.
How would you describe the magnitude of this disaster compared to the many floods you've had before?
Our statistics are telling us that we're living through a 1 in 500 year weather event.
Yeah, it really is dire. Help, though, is on the way. Lismore Council and charities like the Salvos have all launched flood appeals. The details are on our website. The flood emergency is far from over in Queensland. Logan is tonight the new epicentre, another town with its own stories of heartache and so much loss.
They're struggling, we're all struggling, but we're all trying to keep each other going.
A lot of stuff's floated away. We've missed it, haven't been able to go out and catch it, so it's a lot of money lost.
How are you all feeling right now?
Pretty bad. Very depressed.
It's the slow surge of brown sludge that spells disaster.
Yeah, it could be a day, it could be a couple of days. We don't know if the water, sometimes it disappears overnight, sometimes it stays up for days.
While the Brisbane flooding was fierce and fast, further south at Logan, the water has only just reached its peak. Liam Doherty's house is in the firing line. How does that feel?
Terrible. It's been in the family for 20 years now, and this is the third time it's gone under.
The family home no longer visible, with countless heirlooms, furniture, even vehicles now underwater.
My sister, she's actually got lung cancer at the moment. She's down in New South Wales receiving treatment, and she packed up most of her belongings and put them in a shipping container out the back. Whole thing's under.
Yesterday, Kerry Furlong saw her home on the same street for the first time after being evacuated.
We're homeless. Absolutely homeless. Just don't know what to do.
Today she's bunking in with friends and her dogs, and reality is setting in.
Yeah, we won't be allowed to set foot back in our house because it's an old house with chipboard floors. So we've been told that would have soaked the water and they'll probably disintegrate if we step on them. So everything is probably just going to drop through.
Talk me through the stuff that you weren't able to get out. What did you have to leave behind in the home?
Personal belongings, furniture, linens, fridges, everything, washing machines. Shh. Sorry.
Got the dogs out though?
Got the dogs. This is only 5 of them. We've actually got 17 at Animal Management.
Kerry's family trains greyhounds. Caring for the animals keeps her going. It's the second time she's flooded, but it never gets any easier.
My partner, Peter, he's not coping that well. He puts on a brave face, but he's not coping. It's just hard, everybody, and there's so much anger about it, Where did all the water come from?
Unfortunately for the residents here in Logan, all they can do right now is wait. The river peaked up at the flags there this morning. It was at this cone, and well, right now it's here, but there's still a long way to go before anyone can head home.
All we want to do is go in and see what we can salvage.
Today, the water levels had dropped slightly near the houses. So, Kerry, this is as close as we can get to your home today. How does that feel?
Well, a bit upsetting, but I know I can't go in there anyway, so I'd rather be here. I don't really want to be in there to see what it's like in there now.
These are photos Kerry took as water came flooding into her home. Thick brown water already everywhere.
We're one of thousands, tens of thousands probably. We know what they're going through and we feel for them too. I mean, heck, I just want to go and help them clean up, do their thing, because that's what I do, But
the community here is strong and has been through this before. So Troy, you lived down here as well. Tell me what it was like getting out at the peak of the flood.
Pretty full on actually. I actually hung around pretty much all the time. I've just been ferrying people back and forth and belongings and stuff like that. I've just been camping up at the house, tying off to the house to keep the looters out.
Troy's been sleeping in his boat to keep a close eye on neighbouring homes from potential looters.
Yeah, they've been coming in with the electric motors and shining spotlights on. So I'm not getting much sleep. People have lost too much already. They don't need to lose anymore.
How do you do it time and time again?
You just do, you have no choice.
They're certainly resilient. And for many right now, it is still a nervous wait. All they can do is sit and watch and pray that the water doesn't come any higher. But that's easier said than done for those along the swollen Clarence River.
Anchored in the flooded Clarence River, 62-year-old Stephen has nothing left but his boat.
I think I'm still trying to take it all in, really. I used to have a bit of a cry years ago, but that doesn't do much good, so I've run out of tears. So
the fifth-generation fisherman did all he could to save his home.
all our stuff from out of the yard all floated away. You can only tie up so many things, and I don't think anyone actually knew it was going to quite come to this level.
So what have you lost? Everything?
Everything. There's the clothes you see hanging on me towel and what's on me back.
You can just feel the exhaustion among everyone.
Well, I think it's a waiting game. So you're exhausted waiting for the water to drop so you can start your clean-up, I suppose. You're just worried what it's going to look like when the water does recede.
Matt's a fisherman who knows this waterway like the back of his hand. But today his neighbourhood feels different. What's it like to see your home in this state?
Oh, well, it's the highest I've seen it since I've been born, so.
What's different about this time?
This flood, I think this time we got a lot of local rain, whereas usually with a flood we get it in the catchment which comes down. So this time we've got a lot of east coast water on the east coast which is saturated the bottom end here, which is not allowing the water to get away, which now we're getting the flood waters coming down, mixing with it, and it's not getting away.
Locals thought they'd seen the peak, but overnight more water came from upstream and levees along the Clarence River were tested. Others still stranded in their homes, left with no option but to just take it all in. Residents in these communities yesterday were calling themselves lucky because just over an hour north at Lismore, they've been watching what's unfolded there. But just looking around here, it's hard to see how you can call yourself lucky. How are you feeling, mate?
Yeah, not bad. I've got 3 steps left before it comes in the house.
Shane's been going non-stop since Monday. You look buggered.
Yeah, I'm pretty rooted.
He's been looking after his own place and his neighbours.
Oh, it's a pain in the arse. That's about all there is to it.
Would you move?
No.
What are you going to do this afternoon?
Drink.
Thanks, Shane. Tracy evacuated when she saw the water rising.
It's big. It's very big.
You feel tired?
Are
you tired?
I'm tired because I've got a disabled magpie. So I have to come back because you've got to leave fresh food for your magpie. They're not seed eaters, So I have to come back 3 times a day. So I just paddle along. It's safe, just paddle along the road and do a bit of, Olympic kayak. So it makes you anxious being in this ocean, but nothing compared to people who, walking out with their dogs and their babies and everything is gone,
It breaks your heart, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
So for you, it's not your home, Matt, but it's your livelihood.
It's my livelihood, yes. This is where I make my income out of the river. Yeah.
So when will the river be right again to start fishing?
Well, probably for me, I'd say 3 to 4 weeks at least, I'd say, yeah. Could be longer, we don't know. We could get more rain. So we don't know.
What are you worried about today?
Breaching the levee wall down in front of town because there's quite a few homes there and it'll push right up into the nursing homes and stuff, bottom of the hospital.
It's such a waiting game for residents here, and it all comes down to this levee here, and you can see just how close it is. This is what they're worried about. In the next couple of hours, they're worried about the water tipping over that levee and spilling into the town. On the ground in Maclean, locals John and Gary have been doing all they can to make sure that doesn't happen. You guys have both lived through a number of floods.
Heaps of them.
How is this one different?
Oh, well, it's just a bit bigger.
It's bigger, but the water don't seem to be getting away as good as other floods.
Doesn't seem to be getting away at all, no.
Cut off by river and by road. It's an anxious wait.
We just don't want no more rain.
That's about it, isn't it?
It's just hope and pray, huh?
Hope and pray. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. That it don't come over.
Yeah, it really is absolutely heartbreaking. Our thoughts with everyone affected.